Hello and welcome to Box to Board. Now, tonight we are going to be looking at Alien, which is one of my favourite franchises from a point of view of sci-fi. I think it's just so atmospheric, and this is from one of my favourite companies for role-playing games. I'm a bit of a fanboy of Free League. I think they're fantastic. I like their system because it's really good narrative system, and the core system they use is brilliant, the way that they do things. So let's have a look at the book anyway. I picked this up at my friendly local game store, so around 36 quid. To tell you a bit about it, I can't lie to you about your chances, but you have my sympathies. That sums up the tone. Stay alive if you can. This is not your typical there's two different ways you can play this game. Cinematic appeals to me, because one of the things designed to be played in single session, this game mode emphasises high stakes, fast and brutal play. You're not all expected to survive. It is like the movie. Cinematic often means the opposite, and in this one it doesn't. It means you're gonna, cinematic often means you do superhuman tasks. In this one it means you literally die horribly in the game. Not literally, you know what I mean. Okay, so anyway, let's have a look. As usual, the quality is very, very good. You can see, you've got the map of the systems and bits and pieces like that. We have a number of different chapters. The style is, I think, pretty well in keeping with what you would expect for this genre. It's nice, it's dark, it's brooding, and it's kind of got an industrial edge to it, I think. Opening lines, space is hell, just in case you get any problems and we're trying to work out what was going on. And we get these sort of little boxes coming out all the way through. Some interesting background, tells you a bit about frontier life. And basically, then there's a nice timeline that explains things. We go on to careers and setting up characters, role-playing game. Well, that'll come later. Role-playing, how to do it. The game mother, interesting little twist. Instead of having a GM, they kind of give it that little, the game mother, I suppose, after the Alien. And then you've got different modes, and it talks a little bit about the cinematic and campaign. Campaign is designed for longer continuous play with the same cast of players. Campaign can also be brutal and deadly, but the chances for your PCs to survive a night of play are generally higher than in cinematic play. That's one of the things that really drew me to this. Was I like that element of having the experience, and actually one-shots really appeal to me now, because getting people together and playing campaigns can be tricky. And actually, I like the idea of just having a series of one-shots would be quite cool, because it's got that. So then we do a little bit, as in a lot of the books that they do. They talk about what the key themes are. Here it's horror, space horror, sci-fi, action, and a sense of wonder. And then there's a little bit about the different things, sort of introductions. Yeah, and that's quite cool. Then we do a bit about the character. Lovely artwork all the way through. I can't communicate the lovely smell of the book. It's that nice new book smell, which is brilliant. There's a bit about how it works, career, the steps really clearly outlined, and how the system works, which isn't an incredibly. It's not a crunchy system. But it's still very clearly put out, and there's examples all the way through, and all the way through you've got this very atmospheric just art that makes it really pop to me, and helps. Then there's a bit about health, personal agenda, and you've got how they play out in the two different game modes. Then a bit about gear, a bit about how to develop your character, and XP. And again, gorgeous, just gorgeous. And this is one of the things you'll notice as we flick through. There's lots of bits where you just get gorgeous artwork. And then we get the different, I suppose, are these different classes? I'm going to call them classes, probably not, not the name they give them, but so you can be Colonial Marine, Colonial Marshal, company agent, kid, medic, officer, pilot, roughneck, and scientist. So there's some quite, that's quite a range of different character types. Again, beautiful, beautiful artwork. Little bit of writing, but it's all about the theme with this one. It's gorgeous. So a bit about how skills work and there's stress and panic come into this game quite a lot, which is kind of cool. And yeah, how it all sort of pans through, and you can see, it's a well developed system based around a core system that they're using that works very well in a lot of their games. I think that's my impression anyway, and I really love that. But it's just the thing that really stands out to me about this book more than even some of their other books is just how the artwork really adds to it. How and whenever I think of things like Tales from the Loop and Things from the Flood, that I suppose actually has a value, but it's that they've got in their books. They're beautiful books, Free League stuff. But this just, to me, is so evocative. It just really fits really well. Like Coriolis is another example where the artwork just brings the theme. Free League books are just gorgeous. I love this company. I love what they're doing at the minute. It's just fantastic stuff, to be honest. But yeah, and then you can see, sorry, we've gone into combat and panic. Map zones, measuring time, how it all works. Stealth mode, enemy movement and detection. So these are obviously, and motion trackers is quite an interesting one. So there's that's quite an interesting sort of little rule, and we'll go through some of these rules in more detail. This is really just some in another video, but this is really just an introduction and then effectively an unboxing and flick through, so you can kind of get a feel for it. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So lots and lots and lots and lots of different bits about the rules. Going to be quite a few tables in this from what I can make out, but actually you're not going to be using them all the time. You're going to be using them at key points, and that's okay. So I can see as a games mother in this game or GM, I'm going to spend quite a lot. I may tab quite a few of these things, or I've no doubt that somebody somewhere will have a way that you can print them off, so you can use them in a file, or just so you can have easy access to them whenever you need them. I suppose, yeah, your screen will do that. So there's quite a lot, and then there's a bit about vehicle combat, and then we get into gear, propers, the pistols and different guns that you can get and what they can do. Guns in this game are quite funny because the Xenomorph, you just want to run. I mean, basically you want to avoid the blessed things, because you're gonna, whatever gun you want, it's not going to do you an awful lot of good. It's going to, you're going taking down these things is not going to be the easiest thing in the world. So, yeah, and then there's some other bits of equipment that you can have. Vision devices and tools, and medical supplies and pharmaceuticals, food and drink. Then vehicles themselves, different vehicles from the movies, and that's kind of cool. And we have a bit then, just loads, and then we've got life among the stars, and it tells you a lot of the different sort of things that can happen. I like this. So like one of the things is that you can get after a number of days, roll d6 in the table below. When the same number of days have passed, roll d6 again. So you're given a number of days according to the ship, and basically these things can happen to you. So you could get dementia, your memory's a blank slate, you can no longer recall who any of the other characters are. And so those are really nice gameplay things. Just really, really nice flavoursome stuff. Then there's a bit about living in space and space stations, how and what they're like, and a bit about different specific ones. Deep colonies, a little bit about that, which I thought was quite interesting, and living quarters, what they're like, this idea of rotations. Then we get a bit about, you know, working for hire and all basically what it's like in this world to live in it. Religion and how it comes in, how law enforcement comes in, and then we get into spacecraft, and spacecraft are significant in the game. Not significant as other games, I would say, because you can play it that way. You can play it with it to some extent, but there's some nice mechanics in here for it, and there's some really nice artwork. Yes, you got it, and bits and pieces about, you know, how space combat works, and things like that will come in. Spaceships of 2183 AD. Gorgeous drawings. You know, it's just ridiculously good. And again, things like this, it just add flavour all the way through. So you get space combat rules, and there's a nice little bit at the end I'll show you in a minute, at the very end as well, relating to that. How stress works in space combat. Lots of different, again, tables coming to that. It is more, I think it's going to be more crunchy than some of the rule books, but the core of the rules is always about the story, about telling the story, and that's the heart, that's the gut behind this. Again, beautiful artwork leading onto it, and then your job as a game mother, and basically really nice. They give you some GM principles, and one of the things I was really some principles. I love the fact that they talk. First thing is look at the movies, and all the way through this you feel as if there's a real respect for these movies, which is great, because these movies are loved movies by a lot of people. So as a franchise, it's one of those things that actually people care about. So you need to get this right. I think they have. So yeah, there's some really nice, interesting bits in here. Then there's bits about themes and some sub themes, and then talk about stress and horror and how it works, and stages of fear and how they work, which is, you know, really interesting little bits. Bit about NPCs, how to create them, cinematic play again, a little bit about that, how to structure that, what to do with that as a GM, campaign play, what to do with that as a GM. Government, corporations, a bit more about the background, lots about to get your sort of head around, to really help you get absorbed into that world. Lots of background detail about the different groups and factions. As you can see, it goes on, and then we get into one of the bits I find really quite, no, not quite yet. We get systems. And how they, you know, bits and more and more detail, more and more information, more and more about it. Lots of these little bits that will help you to really get your, you know, to get into the feel of the thing. Absolutely wonderful. I just really love this. I love the way that they've done it. And I know I'm flicking through here reading notes, but just to give you that flavour, let you see what's going on, let you see how beautiful this book is. Ridiculously gorgeous. Getting my favourite bit. Wow, it's been building up this, the alien species. And this bit is cool. And it goes through quite a lot about what the different species are like. And there's a lot of threads that you can run with. There's a lot of specific rules for the xenomorphs and the different types that you've got and the different stages and how they work and what effect they're going to have on your characters when they attack or when they infect. It is quite seriously awesome, actually. You need, as a GM, to be ready to play this game. It's going to be one that you need to prep. If you've played Free League before, you can riff quite a lot around it. And in this, you will be able to ref, but my instinct is actually you need to have these tables marked and ready, because you need to know who your characters are, what they're going to be like, what table they're going to be on. And I think the GM here is going to be able to respond to players, but it's not going to be as fluid, say, as something like Tales from the Loop, which is a very fluid system. Then we get into other alien species, but you can see again there's this, the different attacks that the things have, and they are randomized again, which I find quite interesting, because I think that adds a little bit of the alienness to it, if you know what I mean. Then we get the campaign here, a bit about how to run a campaign, what way you would go with that, how to create star systems. It's just so much stuff in here. It's just a really well developed system. How to generate jobs, and what goods are being transported by space truckers, and missions, how to generate these, complications, objectives. Really, the tables are huge in this. I mean, it's very, very, and then even down to plot twists, which is kind of cool. And then encounters, what to do with online encounters and NPCs, different NPCs that you can use. Then we get into Novgorod Station, a little bit about that, and I think we then go to a mission, Hope's Last Day, and this is fairly straightforward in the sense that you've got a bit of information and what's going on, and you've got some characters, pre-gens, and then you've got a bit about how to kick off the action and what to do, and then where hidden xenomorphs are, what type of xenomorphs they are, and references to it, map, and then a bit about the different locations and what's in each location. So it's quite clever. There's a lot more openness. It's not you do this, then this, and this. It's quite cool. Loads and loads and loads of stuff. And then that last little bit I was talking about, this is your space combat map, which I thought was quite nice. It's just a silly thing, but I thought, that's a nice touch. And all your different sheets, as you would expect. Good index, and it does what you want an index to do, helps you find stuff. And there you go. What do I think? Well, in case you haven't noticed, I think it is beautiful. There's a lot more tables in this than some of the other books that I've got by them. It's not going to be quite as fluid, but it's a nice system, and it's a narrative-based system. This is nowhere near, I would say, the level of complexity of something like, say, I've forgotten his name, Starfinder, or something like that. It can be very crunchy. Good system, but can be quite crunchy. This is much more narrative, but it is not at the level of simplicity and fluidity of, say, something like Tales from the Loop, or the fantasy one that is done Forbidden Lands. So it's somewhere more like Coriolis, I suppose, in complexity from what I can see. There's some nice touches. The war universe it's in is one that's familiar to a lot of players, but it's big enough and wide enough that there's a lot of latitude for doing things and playing different stories, which is kind of cool. I really like this. I think it's a really good investment. I love the fact that there is a one-shot deliberate mode that is brutal and more like the movies in the cinematic mode. I like that. I think that really appeals to me, because that means that this is going to get off the shelf a lot more. Because the reality is, I know that for me, getting a party together to do a campaign is a lot more effort. Getting a party together to do one shot and then doing another one shot a month later, and people coming along, and maybe even the people who survive, they could come into the game again, is going to be a lot more doable. It's going to be a lot more doable. So this is going to get a lot more table play than something I try to run as a campaign. which I think is brilliant, and the fact that it is run on D6s, and you know, the fact it's the Alien franchise means again it's going to be something that people are going to buy into. I think it's beautiful. I think it's really, really good, really good system. And I would from what we all go through it in detail, there will be, you know, and what I might try and do is get a feedback from a run through as well, whenever we do one. So, but that'll be in a little bit of time because it's around the Christmas period. So, thank you very much for watching, and please don't forget to like, share, comment, and of course subscribe, because it makes a huge difference whenever we get people subscribing. It just is such an encouragement, it's such a cool thing, and yeah, I mean, it's great to have you on board, and I'm really glad you spent time with us, and have a good evening.